Welcome back to their video, and in today's video we have a Double or Nothing results in review, a conclusion to an amazing night of wrestling from AEW on their behalf, and a crazy week of pro wrestling overall with 3 shows and 3 PLEs on the weekend. So a lot to cover, but let's get into things. And we kicked off the night with Mercedes Moné defeating Jamie Hayter to lock her spot in at All In to go against the winner, or who is the women's world champion at All In. And yeah, very good match and a great way to open up the night.
Yeah, a perfect way to open up the night, as you mentioned. The match went 20 minutes and didn't even feel like it was 20 minutes. Yeah, it was just an amazing match Jamie Hayter showed. I was never really a huge fan of Jamie Hayter up until this kind of build towards this match, and I slowly kind of built more into it. And after this match, she definitely won me over here, and the crowd was super behind it. There were moments where the whole crowd bit on certain moves and they thought she was going to win at certain points. Even myself, I thought it was a full-gone conclusion towards the end that she was going to win. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for her just yet. But yeah, I still think there's potential for Jamie Hayter to win a title very soon, and because I do want Mercedes to lose before All In. That's what I would prefer, because I don't want champion versus champion necessarily. However, you know, I think Jamie Hayter proved herself no matter what here.
Yeah. Mercedes and Jamie had a fantastic match here. The chemistry was very nice. A lot of just good chain wrestling, not very minimal like hiccups and stuff like that. Everything felt really smooth. And yeah, just both women hooped tonight and had a great match and opened up the show perfectly. I like that Mercedes is kind of like a perfect opener for a show where you know she's gonna get a lot of chance. People are always kind of being invested into Mercedes, so having a great match that has big high stakes for All In, it's a great way to kick off the night. But yeah, this is one of the best matches of the night, but it won't be the best match of the night. But next up we have FTR taking on Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness, where FTR do come out on top, and yeah, beat Daniel and Nigel.
Yeah, this was a match that I wasn't too excited for going into it. I had some expectations of potentially Adam Copeland coming, or maybe Christian, or maybe the both of them, or just some kind of business happening there in this match. We didn't really get that. However, it was a decent match. Nigel looked pretty good. The only problem with this match is that it went 22 minutes, so it was a little long for my taste. I kind of got tired of it at some point. Where I was kind of just like, okay, let's move on a little bit. I'm more excited for other things on the card, you know. But I think that's probably the reason why I felt like that, because there's so much other things on the card that I did want to get into. This kind of was in a bad spot on the card. Maybe it should have been somewhere else and I would have felt differently.
Yeah, this match, like you said, did go a little bit too far, or too long rather, mainly just because FTR's style of matches, it's usually pretty solid and they're not doing anything bad in the match, but they don't have those big high spots to kind of carry through a match, whereas like a Young Bucks might have or something like that. But yeah, it's usually kind of straightforward wrestling and stuff. And yeah, kind of a similar situation here. I like Daniel Garcia's performance here. I think he had a great showing, but unlucky, obviously, them losing. They had a cool kind of segment where the ending of the match where Dax has him in the sharpshooter, and Daniel Garcia just has to pass out while Nigel's kind of trying to help him get back to the rope and win the match, or at least stay in the match, but ultimately they come up short, and yeah, FTR do win the match. And yeah, next up we had a Ricochet take on Mark Briscoe in a stretcher match where Ricochet does come out on top and defeats Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, I wish this match maybe got a little bit more time, because this was one where I wasn't really tired of. I feel like they could have went a little bit longer and I would have been okay with it. This was a brutal match at times. This was a high-flying match at times. This was a hard-hitting match at times. This was a hardcore match. This was a little bit of everything that you want from a stretcher match, especially on the same card where you have an Anarchy in the Arena match. You really have to do something to kind of make people believe that you hurt this guy, because they're already looking forward to something crazy happening towards the main event here. And I think they did that. There were moments where Ricochet had Mark Briscoe on a stretcher. He goes to do like a running moonsault off the apron onto him. He gets out the way and kind of lands chest first onto the stretcher. Really cool spot there. And then Mark Briscoe goes back on that same apron, does the running elbow from on him to the stretcher. So that was really cool as well. We seen Ricochet just start slamming his head onto the stretcher at one point, making blood splatter everywhere, and that's where Mark Briscoe gets busted open. But this was just a great beat 'em up match.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe, funny note was just that usually he has his hair pretty short, but this time he grew it out a little bit more, kind of rocked the mohawk. Was pretty cool. But yeah, this match, I loved it. Like you said, in a night where you're going to have something that's going to be super crazy in Anarchy in the Arena, they still had a very good match that had blood, had intensity, and yeah, I like the use of the ambulance as well, being far away, because at one point, Mark Briscoe was about to get Ricochet in, but Herpin runs away, runs all the way back to the ring, so Mark Briscoe has to run all the way back and chase him. But yeah, Ricochet had a great performance. We've seen the scissors get involved, and yeah, just a very well-structured match, and both men looked amazing, and yeah, just a very well put together match.
Yeah, for sure.
And then next up, it was followed by the World Tag Team title match where Hurt Syndicate took on Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, where they do come out on top and retain their AEW World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, this was probably my least favorite match of the night, if I had to say. Maybe the FTR match. It was one of these, either way. Yeah, this was a decent match nonetheless. It's what you would expect from a Bobby Lashley versus Dustin Rhodes in 2025 match. Nothing against Dustin Rhodes, of course. He's still awesome, and I love him and Sammy Guevara. However, when you're going up against the Hurt Business, no, not much of a challenge in a way, at least in, kayfabe or whatever. But yeah, this was fun for what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, you knew what was going to happen here. You knew that MJF was going to get involved at some point. He does. And yeah, you know that they were also going to win, which they also did. And yeah, it kind of wasn't. This isn't like, some big storyline where they're building versus tag team. This is kind of the start of something bigger. And eventually, obviously, we're going to see some between the inner workings of Hurt Syndicate that start to, go against each other. But for now, they're together. And yeah, pretty solid match. Not too much home to talk about this one. But next up, though, we did have the AEW Continental Championship match where Kazuchika Okada took on Speedball Mike Bailey, and Okada comes out on top and retains his Continental Champion.
Yeah, this was a match that I was super excited for going into it because Speedball is one of my guys. However, I didn't think he would win, and that was the case. Kazuchika Okada does get the win here. And it was a fun match. I didn't expect it to be as, I guess, just all over the place as it was. Usually Okada matches kind of stay within the realms of the ring a lot of the time. But this one, they were kind of flying all over the place. There were Speedball's doing his usual offense where he's kind of just diving and flipping, and one of my favorite current moves from him right now is where he does the backflip into the knees to the chest. Really cool and unique move to him. Yeah, this was a good match. Maybe Speedball should have won because the fans, once again, kind of the same story as the Jamie Hayter. They were really behind him towards the end of it. But yeah, it doesn't end up happening that way, and Okada does retain.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite matches of the night. I think it's kind of big of one of those matches that are very slept on, and a night that had a lot of crazy matches and a lot of bangers. I think this one hopefully can, kind of stay the test of time, and yeah, just be remembered, because this was one of my favorite Okada matches of this Continental Championship run, and one of my favorite Speedball matches so far in AEW. Yeah, just I'm not gonna say this is peak Okada, but this is the best I think we've seen from him in AEW so far. And yeah, I think Mike Speedball definitely has that, potential to be a mid-card champion. Maybe he can climb the ranks one day to become a world champion. No, not just yet. But yeah, I love this match. One of my favorite matches, and hopefully, like I said, it gets remembered further down the line. But next up, we had the AEW Women's World Champion, where Timeless Toni Storm defeats Mina Shirakawa to retain her world champion.
Yeah, this was another match I was very excited for going into it. However, it honestly didn't really meet what I expected from the match. They kind of went a different route as far as what they were doing in ring. I expected more of like a almost not as much of like a hardcore match, of course, but somewhere along the lines of a Tony and Mariah, where they're just kind of beating the hell out of each other throughout the whole match. Obviously, no weapons or anything, but just a very hard hitting, all over the place match, and it didn't really end up going that direction. However, it still was a good match. It still was a fun match. Timeless Tony Storm is still one of the greatest characters and one of the better women's wrestlers right now. So happy that she did win. But once again, I'll mention it, but it's just a little weird that both women's champions are going into All In as of right now, as champions. And yeah, I'm curious how that's going to kind of unfold leading into All In.
Yeah, this match is obviously great, but I guess the big thing I'm talking about is that we do have officially Timeless Tony Storm, Mercedes Moné at AEW All In. Obviously, that's the biggest match that I think you can do in AEW. We talked about it on the predictions, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I do agree that it is a little unfortunate that both titles are on the card. However, I don't think that's necessarily too bad because it still has room for more women's matches to still be on the card. Just has to have, a good storyline to go into it. So kind of forces AEW to kind of lock in for some of the other women. Maybe see Athena get added to the card. Maybe Jamie gets a match. Maybe I'm returning Mariah May gets on the card. But yeah, glad that Mercedes or Tony does win this match. And I'm glad Mina had a pretty decent showing in her first pay-per-view match officially on the AEW Women's roster. But next up, we had the big one, Anarchy in the Arena, and the babyface team of Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Willow, the Ops, defeat the Death Riders, the Young Bucks, in a very fun and crazy and chaotic match.
Yeah, this match was just the definition of all over the place. We've seen them literally fighting all over the place. We've seen dives from the fans onto the outside from like the entry gateway. We've seen Willow and Marina Shafir fighting outside. Bottle smashed across the head, slammed on top of tables, thrown into trucks. This match was just a mess.
Yeah, they had so much stuff going on. We had music playing throughout it again, which seems to be the new bit for Anarchy in the Arena. I don't know if they're going to continue this next year. But yeah, we had bodies hit the floor playing for basically the first half of the match. We've seen the Young Bucks come out in Founding Fathers gear, which is really funny. I loved it. And yeah, just a crazy match. Obviously, the babyface team getting the win here is obviously good. Makes John Moxley look a little bit defeatable. And obviously, Swerve gets the pin, which is also really nice like that. And yeah, everybody got a little bit to show. I will say I did not like the fact that Willow and Marina didn't have enough time, I'd say. And the fact that we didn't see enough interaction between Willow and some of the men, or Marina and some of the men. I would have liked to see even Willow maybe get the pin in this match as well.
Yeah, I was expecting someone to kind of get involved as far as the women. I was expecting maybe a Thekla to come, or returning Mariah May, or just someone to get involved here. But that didn't happen. We seen at one point Willow get chained to the turnbuckle by her ear, her earring, I should say. Went through her earring around the turnbuckle. Pretty weird and crazy spot that you would never expect to see, but it's AEW, so you're gonna see it. And yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, it was just fun and all over the place. Kenny Omega obviously looks great as ever. He's always just making every match the best. Like whenever he's in there, the moments where he's in the ring and actually going, those are usually the best parts of every match, and that was the case in this one for me as well. Him and Swerve did really good job playing off of each other during like the funny moments at the beginning of the match where the music was playing. They were dancing together, doing all the things like that. But yeah, we seen Gabe Kidd get involved as well, and the ending was pretty cool as well, where we see the babyface team kind of lock everyone up from the heel team into the back of the ambulance, only leaving the Young Bucks in the ring with, I believe, Swerve and Kenny once again, and they pick up the win that way. But yeah, great, crazy, all over the place match, 35 minutes, and it felt every bit of it, and they filled every bit of that time with just crazy things happening.
Yeah, and I think we forgot to mention as well, we did see the return of Hook. However, we seen him. I think he attacks one of the Bucks. They're about to hit Hobbs, and then Hook kind of attacks him, but then kind of looks at Samoa Joe kind of wrong, and then walks away. I guess he's obviously not happy that he kind of lost his spot in the Ops, and kind of got replaced fairly quickly. And I guess we're gonna kind of hear that he didn't get any calls about anything or something like that. So Hook being back is cool, I guess. I'm not a huge fan of Hook, but always down for him to, get better and get pushed and hopefully, like I said, just improve and become one of those next guys and be one of those fresh young talents that AEW and say they grew from the ground up.
No.
But yeah, that was a crazy match. But into the penultimate match, we had a trios match between the Don Callis family and Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. And this match was pretty fun for what obviously it's in a very hard position where you're in between an Anarchy in the Arena match and then the main event of Hangman and Ospreay. So you don't have much to really do because, it's kind of hard to just one up either of those matches. But they did a great job of kind of continuing the momentum, not having a bad match, but just having a match that can keep the crowd entertained. And, just a pretty still fun match.
Yeah, they had the shit spot, unfortunately, on the card, but they still did everything that they could do with that spot, given the situation, of course. No match with Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita, Adam Cole, and, all these people involved is going to be bad, so don't expect a bad match if you are going to watch this match after seeing this. But, yeah, it was a fine match, but, you were just kind of, after watching this long card, you were kind of in a spot where you're like, okay, let me take a minute here to just kind of chill. Maybe I don't pay too much attention. I could go, do these other things real quick and then come back. But, I'll have to rewatch this match at some point to get a full feel for it.
And then after the match as well, Don Callis family continued to beat down on Paragon. But then out comes Brody King, and he comes out with Ishii as well. And then we have the, debut, or not a debut necessarily, but a returning Hiroshi Tanahashi. He shows face, and I'm presumingly this is going to set up a Don Callis family versus Paragon, Brody King, Ishii, and Tanahashi at Forbidden Door in a few months. So that should be a really fun match to see Tanahashi's probably last match in AEW. But now it is time for the big one. Hangman Adam Page, Will Ospreay, the tournament final, with their winner goes on to AEW's All In to face Jon Moxley and hopefully save AEW. And Adam Page comes out on top and defeats Will Ospreay.
Yeah, this match was just a great match all around. It was just very exciting. There were a ton of moments where I thought, oh, the match is over. The match is over here. No, the match is over here. Ended up going 37 minutes, even longer than the Anarchy in the Arena match went. I will say maybe it did go a little too long because there were some points where they had to kind of, okay, we just beat the hell out of each other for like 15 minutes. We need this like minute and a half here to kind of get our breaths back and get things together because they were really just going hard with each other. They were bouncing from the outside through the tables. They were getting tiger drivers and storm drivers and lariats and hidden blades, and it happened multiple times. There was probably the coolest point of the match is going towards the end of the match where Hangman Adam Page is on the ropes. He's going to do the lariat, however, Will Ospreay kind of falls back into the ropes, and he's kind of like, oh, I just dodged a bullet by missing that. And then he decides that he's going to go one-on-one with Hangman to go for the hidden blade as well at the same time, but Hangman came out on top of that big just mess that they had in the middle of the ring. But, this was just an insane match.
Yeah, the one thing about this match that made me really know what I really like about pro wrestling is matches with huge implications on what's the future, and matches that you don't know who can win this match. Both men were obviously walking in as, if you're a Hangman Page fan, you wanted him to win. If you're an Ospreay fan, you really wanted him to win. If you're a fan like me, who's a huge fan of both of these guys, you wanted both to win. So, obviously, having to pick one was really hard. Adam Page getting the win here was amazing. But, yeah, I love the big fight feel where there's so much going on, and whatever happens changes the landscape of the company. And I don't feel like we get that too often anymore. I feel like the last time we got that in AEW was probably Danielson versus Swerve at All In. But even after that, I don't think there's been anything in any company really that's had real big implications on the future of the company like this match kind of does for AEW. And then also, I think the spot where they're on the table, Will Ospreay tries to go for a storm driver. He fails. Hangman gets him the dead eye, and then he kind of falls through the table, but he still kind of connects with the table as well, so as he's falling down, which is kind of a botch that people are going to say, but I think it kind of plays out perfectly, because Hangman just still goes and does another one anyway to kind of double the damage onto Ospreay. But yeah, this match was a beautiful match, and a great way to end a amazing night for AEW, one of the best shows probably since last year's Revolution. I think this card is going to go down as one of the best shows in quite a while for AEW.
Yeah, probably their best show. Obviously, All In still has to come, and that always has the opportunity to kind of beat anything that they've done. Unfortunately, their All Ins kind of fall short of being their best pay per views a lot of the times, and something else usually takes that. But you know, this year is a little bit different because they have more stars involved in the company. They made more stars that were already there. So there's a lot of exciting things going into this year's All In for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that would do it for our results. What was your favorite match, though, of the night?
Probably I'd have to say the Anarchy in the Arena. It was just such a mess of a match. We seen Powerhouse Hobbs get stapled. We seen everybody get stapled damn near. We seen Swerve Strickland just be the star that he is, and I'd love to see him and Kenny get involved in some sort of feud for some sort of title at some point. Maybe Swerve can take one of these titles off of Kenny once he gets double belted up at All In or something. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, and now that Will Ospreay will not be going for the world champion at All In, what do you think is the next route for him to go?
Honestly, I would like to see him probably do some speedball Mike Bailey stuff. I don't know in what kind of direction. Maybe they could run if there's their tournament coming up relatively soon towards the later half of the year. Maybe they could do something there to kind of start building something with them. But yeah, that's probably something I would like to see is him and Mike Bailey go head to head.
Yeah. But that will do it for our AEW Double or Nothing 2025 results and review. Let us know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We made it this far. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.